Back in February of 1978, Mark Roth captured the prestigious Quaker State Open and went on to completely dominate the PBA Tour, winning a record 8 titles and cashing in every single event that he entered. Walter Ray Williams Jr. effectively began his pursuit of Roth's all-time record this year in March by winning the flagship City Open. By July, Walter Ray was really rolling, notching his 5th championship of the season down Tucson way. Then the final stop of the '93 Summer Tour resulted in victory number 7. And tonight, Walter Ray Williams Jr. as the top seed will look to wrestle at least a portion of Mark Roth's 15-year record. ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the championship round finals of the Greater Detroit Open. In tonight's opening match, a pair of talented right-handers, Mike Shady and Steve Jaros. In the middle of the stack this week, the winner of the 1993 ABC Masters Championship, Norm Duke. Qualifying second for the 2nd year in a row here, the 1987 PBA Rookie of the Year, Ryan Schaeffer. And of course, on top of the stack after 42 games, for the 7th time this year as a top seed, Walter Ray Williams Jr. has his sights set on title number 8 in 1993. And welcome everyone to Taylor Lanes, located in Taylor, Michigan. An opening match ready to start between Mike Shady and Steve Jaros. Shady, the former collegiate All-American, will open up on the left-hand lane. Championship round pair, 39 and 40. And in terms of what they did during the practice session, the shot has moved a little outside as opposed to where they played throughout the week, and they threw plenty of strikes.
Yeah, they threw a lot of strikes. They were playing several of them right at the second arrow in practice, although that seemed to change at the end of the practice session.
Shady comes out jumping with a strike on 39.
A lot of speed on that shot by Mike. Steve Jaros using the only non-reactive resin ball of the top 24 finalists. Made it to the championship round with this ball.
Interesting story behind that piece of equipment. Opening shot, a little high, but he carries the strike.
In the track area. Yeah, that ball was designed by Carmen Salvi, and Carmen's quite proud of it. Right here, Steve Jaros, a 4-step delivery. Ball's held right at the waist high. He's going to step and push. He's going to step and push at the same time. Now watch the timing here. Slightly late at this point. Now as he hit the next to last step, the ball's right at the peak of the backswing. See if it's still going up there slightly. So the ball's slightly late. Pulls it through on balance. Controlled swing all the way through by Steve.
Beautiful reaction. 3 shots, 3 strikes. And Shady will look to tie this match up.
And you can see how Jaros kind of matches the arm swing to the foot speed there. I mean, there's, you know, if you put it on a scale of muscle, you know, or free swing, that's about a 50% free swing and 50% control there. No, Mike has a much freer swing.
Caught that one nice at the bottom of the swing. And this match is dead even after a pair of shots by each player.
2 very good players here. Again, the ball's held just a little above the waist there. He's going to move it. He's moving the ball now. A little bitty first step with the left hand. Watch how straight the swing is. Now he hits that pivot step. Look at how high that backswing is. Much higher than Jaros's. A lot more power can be generated. On balance the same way. Both guys very square at the line and on balance. Now, as you watch him bowl, you don't notice that that backswing is that high until you see it on the replay as he doubles.
Well, he's a rhythmic, athletic type player, really a fit player out here on the national tour.
So the guys are picking up right where they left off in practice, throwing a lot of strikes.
Well, these 5 players, Mike, averaged almost 235 on this pair of lanes throughout the week.
That's serious stuff.
Yeah, a lot of strikes.
That's almost as much as you average.
Well, yeah. For 2 games, perhaps. Another nice swing. Will it carry? Yes, it does. Huh. We've seen nothing but X's thus far.
Well, scoreboard tells the tale right there. All even after 3. All the guys on the telecast are young tonight with one exception. He's 28, 9 years a pro, 2 titles, won the same tournament 2 years in a row in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Boy, as important as the PBA regional program is nowadays, I think I'm going to ask our graphics people to add that on there. He has 12 PBA regional titles.
That gives you an idea of how good a player he is, because he doesn't compete on the national tour on a real regular basis as he gets our first non-strike of the initial match, leaving the 4-pin.
Point that I'm going to make as well is the player that won last week, Roger Bowker, has an unbelievable PBA regional record.
Yeah. What did he have? Somewhere around 16 victories in 27 seconds. I think that's what it was.
Either that or 19 wins. 19 or 16 comes to mind. A bunch.
A bunch, yeah. He's got one more national title now, too.
Yeah, he's pretty happy about it as well. First spare of the opening match provided by Steve Charles. A high-scoring affair here at Taylor Lanes in Taylor, Michigan. When we come back, the conclusion of match number 1. Steve Jaros on a double, down by 10.
Trying to get the match back to even. Wow, did you see that? Knock that 10 out of there. That looked like a weak 10 all the way. Maybe I'm judging on my ball.
That's that high-power bowling ball.
Yeah. Now watch the 6-pin. The ball's going to deflect here, but that 6 comes right out of the channel and gets that 10. Well, as a player, when you hit there and carry that weak 10, you'll love to see that. It just sends confidence surging through your body as we look at the PBA commissioner, Mike Connor.
One of the things that Carmen Salvino mentioned about that new ball is it's a completely different type of surface than a reactive resin urethane.
Well, this is back and forth then. Who's going to crack first?
During that last commercial break, I looked at Mike and I said, hey, this is going to be 279, 279, a tie.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, he's got that average beat already.
You have to throw strikes to maintain pace in this game. Oh, well, so much for 279 as the 9-pin stands.
And Shady says, why now? It hits just a hair tight in the pocket. Now watch that 5-pin chop. The ball chops the 5 right off the 9.
Powerful shot.
Oh, it was.
As a pro, there's nothing you can do but pick up the spare and move on to the next frame.
That's all. Weather conversion 11 down.
And there's the inventor of that new high power ball, PBA Hall of Famer Carmen Salvino, not doing nearly as much bowling these days because he's busy trying to sell bowling balls.
And he does a lot of work in chemistry. He's become a really an accomplished chemist in his old age.
Been around the game for so many years, one of the great champions and personalities in the history of professional bowling. It's good to see him back out here. One solid 9-pin, and that's what's going through Shady's mind at this point.
Boy, it could cost him. The only consolation he has is he couldn't have thrown it any better. He's down 11. Jaros' fate is in his own hands right now.
A little more room. 6-pin kicks out the 10 again. Mike Dervin's going to be ordering from Carmen Salvino before this match is over.
Yeah, right.
You could have won another 30 titles.
Yeah, right.
With all the 10 pins you left.
Well, right now, Steve Jaros can win this game if he can get one more strike. The first one in the 10th.
That's left of target. Held beautifully, and flush city for Steve Jaros, who is just going to keep moving right along.
Such a nice, simple game. Extended arm swing, on balance. Looked like it hit right over the 3rd arrow that time. Just finished flush in the 1-3. All 10 in the pit. Keeps it on the lane now, and he moves on to face Norm Duke.
I'd like to be Mike Shady and maybe shoot 258 and have an early exit in this one.
Yeah.
and you can trip the 4, slap the 10, and carry everything in between. You got the whole 9 yards.
And I know he has one avid rooter for him right back here. I'll tell you what.
279, a possibility. Terrific opening game for Steve Jaros. 279. And don't forget, coming up Friday, October 29th, beginning at 7:30, Outside the Lines, Coaching in the 90s, an outstanding special on ESPN. You won't want to miss that. Mike Shady with a wry smile.
Unbelievable. Great game, kind of reminiscent of Kelly Kaufman last week with his 258, and he came up short too. I guess he got a little more than 250s now, Denny.
High scores this week on the championship round pair as Mike Shady says goodbye here from.
While we were away, Steve Jaros continued his excellent bowling on the right lane. This was for a double. Then he went to the left lane, and this is not a replay, but sure looks like it, doesn't it? And then Norm Duke just keeps it going. This is for 7, folks. And back live.
8 in a row. You bet. Norm Duke with the first 8. He'll have a pop, I have a feeling, because as you accurately described, Michael, he loves the left-hand lane. If he gets a strike in the 9th, he's got a real pop.
Oh, he has a real pop. Of course, so did Roger Bowker last week. He loved that right lane last week and wasn't able to do it. So Norm Duke, though, is a very confident young man.
Another premium shot by Steve Jaros, but this is going to be too little, too late.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The match is not over yet, but Jaros may be in the position that Mike Shady was in last game, that he could bowl 258 and lose. If he strikes here, he still gets Duke's attention. Duke would have to mark the last 2 frames in order to lock him out.
Both Ryan Schaeffer and Walter Ray Williams Jr. are watching this one as well.
Wow, we've seen that before, haven't we?
Twice now. Shady left one in a pivotal position, and now Steve Jaros has a solid 9.
He got it off the wall earlier in this match.
That's right. Headpin did the job. That's tough on you to throw it that well and ended up with a solid 9 pin.
Well, that's one of the results of these power bowling balls now, Dan, and the light pins, they just drives through. And we're going to find out whether you accurately predicted this back in the 5th frame. I'll tell you what, and Duke loves this with the crowd. When the crowd starts yelling Duke, Duke, like that, he plays off. It just feeds to him.
PBA will award $10,000 extra for a perfect game.
Just a little quick with the feet that time, but
all Jaros can do is say congratulations. A brilliant opening game by Norm Duke, who I think you're right, Mike, just zipped that maybe a mile an hour, maybe a half a mile an hour faster than he had been on that lane.
Yeah, it looked like he got into the oil a little bit earlier and then finished hard at the back end that these reactive balls are supposed to do, but it sent the 6 right around the 10. Commissioner says, see, I'm sorry, I don't have to give you that 10,000.
That's right. She was checking. Mike, do you have that check in your pocket? Yeah. And well, maybe next game.
Well, he's wired. It could happen. We got some big scores on this telecast, Daniels.
You're not kidding. Well, we hate to be redundant here at Taylor Lanes in Taylor, Michigan, but we've had a pair of 279s. One with a victory in the opening game, one with a victory in game number 2. So Steve Jaros now knows what Mike Shady felt like about 20 minutes ago.
Right.
Solid performance this week by Steve Jaros, who is going to bowl a beautiful game.
80s.
Norm Duke, fresh from a 279 performance, ready to start here in the semifinal.
Steve Jaros, after that 279, started with a split.
Not Norm Duke.
So much for that theory.
Yeah. Well, the boys are averaging 259.75 thus far in the championship round tonight.
Well, we could maybe be setting some records here tonight, possibly.
Time to rev things up a little bit right here on the right-hand lane.
Ryan Schaeffer, who's struggled in his TV appearances in the past.
Almost left the 10 with the 2. Power player deluxe. Very strong player for his size.
But he seems to be, always has seemed to me to be the type of player that needs to work into a rhythm. And coming out in a one-game must-perform situation hasn't been his strength so far.
This is his 6th appearance in the championship round. Looking for that elusive first victory, not only on the PBA tour, but in the championship round.
Holds the ball below the waist. He's going to take 5 steps. There goes the first one. It's all control. Noah. Pretty straight swing at this point. Here's the pivot step. Swing is not as high as you think. Now he is going to come through with a lot of power and pull up with his whole body. Wrist and body, and he's lifting with his toenails.
Dug in at the foul line. He averaged 254 this week on this pair of lanes. Ooh, he caught all of that one. Light hit exploder. Messenger doesn't deliver the message, and the 10-pin stands.
Well, that thing came around twice trying to get it, still missed it, I'll tell you. Watch the head pin. Watch the head pin. Comes in light. Off the sideboard. Comes around, misses the 10. It's going to go all the way around and miss it again. He's going to try and knock it down now with the second ball. See, he's broken his wrist right here. He's going to throw hard and straight at this.
Won all 8 of his matches last night and averaged 241 in the final 8 games of play to qualify for the telecast. Stands at 5'8", 150, 27 years of age, and trying to get rid of those zeros.
See, he's 27. Shady and Jaros are 28. Duke's 29.
You trying to tell me this is a young man's game?
Oh, did you see that 6 just kind of reach out and say, snap it down. Watch the 6 pin. Second from the right. Goes into the channel. It's not going to get up there. Now watch it come back. It's back. Boy, that's just bonus time when you get that kind of stuff.
And you know, anytime they get a break like that, they make up for it on the next shot.
Oh, they're going to capitalize, right? He's going to strike here. Well, he did. He got it into the oil, but see, when he gets it into the oil, it's actually hitting a little light then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he pulls a little bit. It doesn't go high. Here's the shot. It's just a little left of target here. Left of the third arrow. You see that? Goes a little further down, finishes late, and just not the power. Same type of shot. He didn't get the nice kick that he got the time before.
Norm Duke with that backup style format for the spares cross lane. Fired 10 strikes in match number 1. Opened up with a couple here in game number 2. Let's see if Ryan Schaeffer can find the pocket and carry a strike.
He's got 2 shots on. He's got to get his act together right now because Duke's not going to let up.
Ooh, this time diced him up, an explosive shot. As Victoria and Art look on, and you see that beautiful young lady to the left just over Mom's shoulder? That's Karen. That's his sister, Karen Wakefield, who is one of the outstanding players on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. And when she doesn't make the top 24, when she doesn't make the telecast, she works as my statistician on the Ladies Tour. And she's an accountant.
Well, she's in the right job,
yes,
though.
She
I can
is.
see that.
She knows the numbers.
Yeah.
Keeps me in line.
Big shot here for Ryan. Needs a double and get even in the match. Oh. See him move his hand to the right. He's hold, please, hold.
There's Karen. I wonder how she did this last week. She's here, so it couldn't have been good news.
Not as well as Ryan's doing.
There you go. Well, she still has Rockford and Las Vegas yet to go. 1987 PBA Rookie of the Year. Still waiting to reach that potential.
Yeah.
I have a feeling once he breaks through and wins, it could happen on an annual basis.
It's possible. He has a style that's hard to keep repeating.
Speaking of repeating, Norm Duke does. And don't forget, coming up this Friday night, you can't miss this. In order to get to March Madness, we have to have Midnight Madness. That's right. NCAA college basketball opens up practice. Of course, Dick Vitale, my good buddy Bill Raftery, will be covering a number of different college programs that night. And it's going to be fun. It's all starting 12:01.
12:01.
Yep, hit the floor, start running the wind sprints. I want to see Vitale going up and down the floor. That's what I want to see.
Well, that keeps the match close. It's Duke proving that he's human, leaving a few taps here and there now. Cross lane at the 10-pin. Like you say, basically a backup ball at it.
Did you ever try anything like that, Mike?
I threw it straight enough naturally down.
In other words, when you shot cross lane, you lifted with all of your might at the 10-pin. Pretty much.
I usually have pretty good success at knocking it down.
I understand.
I got enough practice. Well, nice shot.
Starting to get into this pair of lanes.
He's starting to feel more comfortable with himself. Deeper than Duke. Closer to the fourth arrow. Nice reaction, though. And again, the opportunity to even the match with a strike right here.
Could have been a disastrous evening for Ryan Schaeffer, who had an accident.
Yes.
And squirted a little glue up near his eye trying to replace a grip. And
super glue.
Yeah, told me he's all right, but it was kind of a scary situation. He's got a very sore red left eye.
Talk about dicing him up, Denny. I'll tell you, watch this ball. Over the fourth arrow, light in the pocket. Ooh.
First prize in this week's Greater Detroit Open, a check for $23,000. Second place, $12,000. And some co-proprietors that just have done an outstanding job.
Oh, this place looks marvelous, Dan. They spent a lot of money fixing this place up, and it just looks wonderful.
Facility just is just absolutely beautiful here in Taylor, Michigan. During that timeout, Mike and I were discussing that shot right there, maybe even the next one. You felt strongly about the fact that Norm Duke needed to come up with a couple of strikes here because Ryan Schaeffer all of a sudden starting to get nice and loose and lanky on this pair of lanes.
And Ryan throws that power ball, and when he starts striking, he may never stop. And Duke knows that. Duke now is trying to figure out a way to get the 10-pin out on this left lane.
You know, Mike, you made a very interesting observation. The last time when he left the half 10, I think you were dead right. He got the ball into the oil a little early, and it didn't react. Now, this time, watch the difference.
This is just a better quality execution. Gets it around a little bit into the dry, and now when it sucks to the pocket, it's just flush.
Back to Ryan Schaeffer in the 7th on a double, down by 10, trying to get back to even. Oh, line of that 6-pin rip around the 10.
But did you watch his body English on that? I mean, he wasn't sure it was going to strike. He got it in again. I think in the oil, these reactive resin balls, when you get into oil, they want to slide. You know, as Larry explained, they're turning sideways and going forward at the same speed. Now, he's going about 20 miles an hour. He's not really confident. He's looking only at the 10. Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Concentration.
Well, if there is some consolation, at least at this point in time, it's the fact that he's bowling a very solid game. He's averaged only 186 in his other championship round appearances, far below what his capabilities are.
He's got to get back right on the strike track, though, here, Dan. I mean, Duke is lined up. It's just been striker 10-pin with Norm.
Needs a break. Got one, and the fact that there was nothing other than the 10-pin, but he couldn't knock it down.
See, the reason that happened, Dan, was because of the solid 10. There was an emotional letdown. There wasn't the same intensity and concentration and quality of shot on that execution right there.
You almost feel like you have to make up for a shot, or maybe even overcook it, because
if he'd have struck there, that 10-pin would have cost him 21 pins, and pro bowlers know that.
Ryan Schaeffer running out of time. Norm Duke would like to put the finishing touches on his 2nd consecutive win.
Like I said before, he knows how to play a match play competition.
Like that one the moment it left his fingertips, and he has moved ever closer to getting an opportunity to bowl Walter Ray.
What's the follow through? Boy, I didn't like the follow through, but I sure liked the result.
Pooh. Bang. 259 still a possibility for Norm Duke, who started the championship round with a 279 game.
Yeah, and I wonder what Walter Ray is thinking over there.
Good question. He's probably thinking he's going to have to throw some strikes. Look at this, double teaming of the 10, and the entire posse couldn't get the job done.
He had a double teamed in the corner, but he got out of it. I'll tell you.
A trapping defense on the 10-pin, but no turnover.
Now watch the head pin. We know that's one of them. There's the head, and it's a 5. You had the 1 and the 5 going back after. That was the 5 that missed it first, and the head pin came afterwards. The 5 touched it.
Looked like a log rolling contest over there.
Well, it's still a match. Hey, Ryan Schaeffer can take this out the sheet. He finishes with 227. That would make Duke strike first ball in the 10th.
A little wide, but he shakes him up and strikes on lane 40.
I'll tell you what. If he can take it out the sheet here and get the 227, even if he doesn't win the match, it'll do wonders for his confidence. A lot of time.
A lot of loft. A lot of pin action.
He's better off staying there, I'll tell you what. That light here, those pins are just fighting to get down. Everybody in the family probably react together. Yep.
It's Team Schaeffer right now.
Well, they all know how to keep score, believe me, so they know what he needs.
It's a tremendous bowling family. Yeah, you're right.
There's the big shot right here. really trust this one like the last one.
Way right. That was out of bounds.
Yeah.
Went for the big sweeping hook. Norm Duke with a quick glance of the score, and Ryan already knows what the score is.
See the problem with a controlled swing and a power swing like that is under pressure you have a tendency to make things faster and jerkier and not as smooth, and the ball goes offline. Duke has a much more fluid swing, straighter swing. I would think, you know, just have a much better advantage under pressure.
So Ryan Schaeffer can't quite get the job done, but you'll see two title fights when we finish up here. They're calling it a double championship tonight. Welterweight championship fights coming your way on Top Rank Boxing from Atlantic City, New Jersey. And let's see, what would Norm Duke be? Would he be a welterweight?
No, I don't think he'd be up that high.
Flyweight?
That category. Let's see, Norm Duke's weight is 123, then, so welterweight's up around 140 something. So.
Okay. You have to pick up a few pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe he could fight with the ball.
I'll tell you what, he can weigh anything he wants right now. He's got Walter Ray. He's got Walter Ray's attention right now. 279 now, possible 238.
And plus, Walter Ray knows what kind of a competitor and match play bowler Norm Duke is. But hey, if you're going to tie a record, one of the great records of all time, you might as well do it against a player of this nature.
You know, I'll never forget when George Pappas won the Tournament of Champions back in 1979. He had to beat Dick Ricker. He said he wanted to bowl Ricker because Ricker he thought was the best at the time.
And you know, at that point in time, Pappy was the first player to lead that tournament from start to finish and win on the television show.
Yeah.
Not an easy accomplishment, I can tell you that right now. Duke putting the finishing touches on a second straight win. Ryan up off the bench with a congratulatory handshake for Ryan Schaeffer. A third-place finish for the second year in a row. Well, maybe next year here at Taylor Lanes, the third time will be the charm for Ryan Schaeffer. When we come back, championship frame. All right, let's start with match number one. Steve Jaros in the 10th.
On the left lane right here. His first strike in the 10th. He's going to wrap up the match for him. And that was it. Here's his reaction. He goes on to win 279 to 248. Mike Shady, valiant in defeat. Just not quite enough.
Had that solid 9 in the 8th, and that was his undoing. On to the second game, and Norm Duke now had a chance for a perfect game.
Starting with the first 9, finishing on his good lane. Whistling 10. He's looking at it. Come on, baby. Oh, I knew it.
So for the second straight game, a 279 was the winner. Over 236 from Steve Jaros. On to the semifinal, and Norm Duke had a little easier time of it this trip.
And this is his first strike in the 10th. Basically needed to show up. Quality shot. Right solid in the pocket. 9-pin a little late falling. Very confident man heading into the title match.
238, 211. Ryan Schaeffer third. Norm Duke will move along. So I want you to take a good hard look at these numbers here because they are really impressive.
Well, we talked about how he gets out so quickly. And in his championship matches this year, 18 times starting with a strike, 14 with a double, 10 with a triple, and 8 times with a 4-bagger or better.
That's placing some serious heat on your opponents early on.
Well, that's how you win championship matches, especially from the top spot, which he's 4-2 this year. And one of the ones he lost, you know, his opponent bowled 299 at him, so he bowled 268 that game. Duke hitting both lanes, but seems to like 40 a little better, and he gets the finish there this game.
Opens with the hot hand, a beautiful strike on lane 39.
Boy, he's just getting out of every ball so cleanly.
Walter Ray never wastes a whole lot of time. Throws this one right smack dab through the nose, and that's not what we anticipated.
6, 7, 10 right out of the gate. We talked about him getting off to fast starts, and this is not the fast start that he wanted. He's going to go for this all the way down. Very accurate player. They don't call him Deadeye for nothing.
Gives it a run. A little too much. Walter Ray wearing a wireless mic, so we'll try and get some feel for what's going through his mind. But this is unbelievable here in championship matches, 10 of them, 100 frames, just 2 opens coming into tonight.
And in all of his TV appearances, 210 frames, only had 6, and he starts with an open here.
Comes back with a strike. Well, it's going to be an uphill battle all the way, I suspect, against Norm Duke now that he has an edge.
Well, Norm Duke, you know, is like a shark smelling blood. You know, he sees that open, and he's ready to capitalize on it right now. Just drilled Walter Ray. Ooh, that's the last thing I expected him to throw it right through the nose. You know, I wonder if the pressure of the match and the opponent, suddenly that's the first ball he's thrown through the nose.
Uncharacteristic miss left. First time we've seen that, even close to that tonight.
Yeah.
Was he squeezing to try and make sure he got the double?
Definitely. And he chops that 6 off the 10. It looked to me like that 6 was a little bit off there. Right away, he gives it right back to Walter Ray. So we got an even match now with 10 frames to go.
Forget the high scores momentarily, but Walter Ray with a huge break courtesy of Norm Duke.
Well, that's what happens when you're in a position to try and tie a record. You know, maybe you need those breaks like that. That is a big break.
Then a 10 pin on his good lane, the left-hand lane. Well, what do you want to bet me right now that when Walter Ray steps up on lane 40, he doesn't come away with a double?
I'll tell you, he's just been doing it all year long. We'll find out. Although Walter Ray is not as confident on this pair of lanes right now as he'd like to be. He was more confident earlier in practice. I watched the last couple of practice shots on the right lane, and the right lane is confusing him a little bit. No time at all. Good speed. Good result.
Told you.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't win an average 253 or whatever for the last 10 games without doing something right.
This guy's making the adjustments from shot to shot and lane to lane as well as anybody maybe right now in the history of the game. I'd say the only player that maybe did it better in his prime might have been Earl. Earl was sensational.
Well, this guy has a couple more weapons, though. I mean, he can throw it harder and hook it more than Earl could.
For 3 in a row. Tried to wave this one off, and now he's through the nose on the left-hand lane.
And he thought that was flush. That reactive resin bowling balls, Dan, when they start hooking, they go left, right through the nose. Doesn't get the break. He's going for this one, too. Not enough. 9 outs and 2 opens. He's only had 6 in the last 210 frames, and he's got 2 and 4 here. And Norm Duke gets it handed right back to him.
What a turn of events in this one. Duke chases him around a little bit on lane 40 and ends up with a shaker strike. Leads by 4, could increase it to 14.
Right now, neither player is playing their A game. It's the player that can step forward and seize the moment and the opportunity that's going to win.
Norm Duke with a double, a 14-pin lead. And now it's up to Walter Ray to try and put a couple of strikes together.
Well, he did it, but he got to stay off that nose, Dan. He's moved again.
Deeper, more hook. Needs some carry, and he gets it.
You see that ball roll out? That ball quit right at the pocket. Man, that's as much as I've seen Walter Ray hook the ball. Watch him now. He's moving left almost every shot. He's going to move left again on this left lane. Slides. left of the third arrow, out to maybe the ninth board. Now watch the ball quit right here. Just barely gets the 4-5-7, Danny. He needs a double, Danny.
Trying to trim into the lead, comes up, needs a break, doesn't get it. 7-pin stands, and Walter Ray right now in a very precarious position.
Yeah, he's definitely not looking good. He can't get the ball flush. Light again. Boy, he had a lot of pins up there. That's the 2-pin spinning around. Gets the 7, but he's falling further and further behind. And he knows it. Frames are slipping by.
And they'll move even faster if Norm Duke gets another one right here.
Yeah. He's just too confident for him right now. He's got a better line to the pocket. Walter Ray has got to really make perfect shots to get it there, and he's not getting the breaks. He's gone high twice and got 2 splits. 24 pins the difference, 4 frames to go.
The pressure he has to be feeling, though, coming into this event, Mike, to lead the tournament, to try and get to the record.
Yeah.
It's a lot of heat.
It's a lot of heat. Oh, kick that 4-7 out of there. See, that wasn't that much different than Walter Ray's 4-10 hit, but that one got a strike. He's watching. Ooh, pennies from heaven
that are going to turn into dollars from Detroit. Walter Ray trying to figure out a way to strike, and it's not going to happen here tonight. Ran into a pair of lanes that changed a little bit. Boy, when he first started practicing, he did nothing but strike.
I know, but the ball's rolling out of the pocket, it's just not hitting with any power down there, Dan.
He's caught in between right now. Well, normally this year, Walter Ray has just been absolutely spectacular down the stretch in terms of closing out opponents. But tonight, 2 opens, 2 strikes. And he needs to make it number 7.
Yeah, right now. He better make it number 7 right now, I'll tell you. He's just lost the reaction. He moves the board left and won't make it. He moves back right. It's 2 splits.
You know, I think what really is being shown here is how difficult the game can be for the best player in the world right now, who leads a tournament, comes out, and you have a hard time shooting 200 on a pair of lanes where the other guy is locked in.
Yep. See, he doesn't have the right ball in his hand for the pair. That's exactly what it is. And he tried a number of different balls. He made that choice. But you get into this situation, those frames go by quickly, and you don't know what a new ball will do.
Meanwhile, Norm Duke knows exactly what his is doing.
Yeah.
It's honing for the 1-3. Norm Duke going to stroll to a victory here, and boy, we spent all that time and energy trying to build this one up, and just didn't happen tonight.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes. But we did talk at the top of the show that Norm Duke had the best chance to defeat him. He had the most confidence, the most experience, and the most moxie.
Got started quickly. Walter Ray couldn't really do much, and Norm Duke is gliding right now to a victory. Walter Ray appreciates his game tonight.
As Walter said in the interview, that even without the 8th victory here, as he changes hand releases a little bit, goes straighter, you know, that he's bowled tremendous this year. He has nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it's just one of those things.
A disgusted Walter Ray Williams, who's averaged 253 his last 11 games in the championship round. Well, he'll bounce back, of course, next week. Touring Players Championship in Indianapolis. And, of course, the Brunswick Memorial World Open.
A lot of money in those 2 tournaments.
Still a lot could happen. He's got 2 more chances to tie the record. Obviously a good opportunity to maybe catch Mike Albie's all-time earnings record.
Well, he'd had a better chance to win.
Yeah,
but he's got to go. 3 7-pins in this game, damn it. 2 splits, just wasn't meant to be.
Fans really appreciative of the effort throughout the week as Paige looks on, and she's had a lot of fun this year watching Walter Ray be successful, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. He'll go to 4-3 from the top seed position this year. 4-11 in his career, and You don't really need to say too much more about the way he's feeling right now.
Disappointed man, but a very happy young man right here. A well-earned victory. He bowled superbly tonight.
I'll tell you what, if the truth be known, Norm Duke probably would have wished that Walter Ray bowled a heck of a game. This guy's a competitor, and he thrives in this situation. You know, it's no fun to see somebody go out there and shoot a game like that. But for Norm Duke, a brilliant performance tonight, winning 3 matches and, of course, the title.
Not enough power.
Well, they were chanting Duke, Duke, Duke in the pregame warm-ups, and that's what they got tonight. A lot of Norm Duke, who you can see right now is beginning to relish this victory.
Well, he's a very confident person. I'll tell you what. It's amazing to me he hasn't won more than he has.
You're not the last person that said that. Norm Duke with a lopsided victory over the shoe-in player of the year, Walter Ray Williams Jr. Great win for you tonight over a tremendous champion. It was a tough match for him.
Well, you can't say enough about Walter Ray Williams this year. He's just been in dead stroke. If you're going to win a title, you're going to have to beat him right now. And, you know, you kind of feel for a guy when he leads and he bowls as well as he did all week. But I've been in that situation, too, so I'm happy for myself.
Okay, let's move along now to the presentation. All right.
Great bowling, Norm. Wish we could have sold at 300, but congratulations anyway. Great win. Thank you very much. I'd like a special thanks to Bill and Adeline DiBiase, along with Ted and Leona Dobbins, the proprietors here. Newly renovated Taylor Lanes. If you haven't seen it and you're in the area, come by. It's a beautiful center.
Yes, and they do have open bowling a little bit later on this evening. Adeline, you also have a check.
Yes, here's something for the pot, right there.
$23,000.